So, my name is Leah.
I'm Leanne. I'm Lexi.
And today we are going to present to you about stress. So, we're going to start out with doing an activity. It's called the Stressometer. So, I do this a lot with my friends just to kind of, it's a silly little activity, but I think it actually accurately judges our stress levels. So, we're going to put your arms like this, and on the count of 3, you're going to move this arm to kind of show how stressed you are. So, like this would be little stress, this would be a lot of stress, and then we can kind of look around the room and compare what levels of stress everyone is at. So 1, 2, 3. So go ahead and look around at your neighbors, kind of see who's like this, who's like this. It's just kind of a good activity to kind of assess where you all are at for your stress level of the day. So keep that in mind as we go through this presentation.
So, super important to understand what exactly is stress. According to the American Psychological Association, they define stress as any uncomfortable emotional experience accompanied by predictable biochemical, physiological, and behavior changes. So in more simple terms, that's just any feeling of being overwhelmed, worried, kind of run down, and you can just feel the effects on your body. It's important to understand that stress does affect all age groups and it affects pretty much everybody. It's just how it affects them and what stressors cause stress for each person. So we found a case study that took 128 high school juniors, which is your age group, and just kind of asked them a bunch of questions to evaluate their stress level. And what they found was that 49% of these juniors were reporting that they are very stressed. And then 31% reported feeling somewhat stressed, and 20% I'm feeling that these people just didn't really understand what exactly stress is, because I think we all experience some type of stress, especially if you are a high school student. Some other really shocking statistics that came from the study was that out of the people who reported that they are stressed, 60% of these people were females and 40% were males. So that just kind of goes to show the gap in between males and females when it comes to stress. And unfortunately, I think females, we experience stress on a higher level than males due to media and everything that's just kind of out there in the world nowadays. 26% of these people, without even realizing it, the symptoms they were reporting, they were reporting symptoms of being depressed on a really significant level. So that's just really, and we'll talk about more about like depression and suicide later on, but that's just really important to understand that more than 1/4 of these students who are stressed are actually depressed. And then another really shocking thing is how many of you spend over 3 hours a night on homework? So that's a lot for a high schooler, I think. A lot of you have said like you're in sports, so according to like all of the other presentations you watched today, you're supposed to be getting enough sleep, eating correctly, doing your schoolwork, attending sports and physical activities. So I think it's just really a much bigger stressor on you when you have this much extra work that you have to do each night.
Alright, so believe it or not, having a small amount of stress is good and something that our bodies do need. When we have that little bit of stress in our bodies, it helps to increase our drive and energy that gets us through tough situations like taking an exam or if we have work deadlines. It's also going to help you meet your daily challenges and motivate you to reach your goals. And it also acts as a vital warning system that gives your senses this laser-like focus to help avoid physically stressful situations like jumping away from a moving car or taking your hand off a hot pot. That's actually your stress response that's allowing you to avoid those things, so it can actually save your life. On the other hand though, having an extreme amount of stress can cause major health consequences and can be very detrimental if it's not taken care of and can lead to chronic illnesses. So having too much stress can increase your chances of getting sick. It can cause problems with sleeping and negatively affect your brain and hormone levels. It can also lead to digestive problems, anxiety, muscle pains, and the stress response will also make you breathe much faster than normal, so that can be harmful to those who have asthma or other trouble with breathing. We also see an increased likelihood of drug and alcohol abuse when stress levels get exceedingly high as a way to cope. And chronic stress has also been linked to the development of major illnesses such as heart disease, depression, and obesity when we turn to comfort food to lessen our stress. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the general adaptation syndrome, which has 3 phases of alarm, resistance, and exhaustion, and this is how our bodies respond to stress. So So the first phase is alarm, and this happens when the stressor disrupts our body's normal way of functioning, and that stressor can include things like work, school, injury or illness, family or personal situations, or whatever is causing your body stress. Then we move into the resistance phase, where our body either responds to that stress or resists it, but the body cannot maintain that high level of resistance forever. So if the stress continues and does not get better and is chronic, then it can lead to the exhaustion phase, where our body can no longer handle the stress and body systems begin to shut down, and then that's when we would see a lot of those negative health consequences.
So many people think that, I guess I would say that we throw the term around stress, like I'm stressed, around pretty flippantly. But actual stress, even at low levels, can actually significantly increase rates of depression and other mental illnesses, which is super interesting. And then depression also can lead to higher odds of, or higher risk of suicide. And with the many recent suicides we've had in Perry schools, the federal government actually came and got involved with Stark County Health Department and kind of set out some goals to achieve in order to decrease that from ever happening again. But you as students could also just decrease the risk of suicide by even just staying staying with the least amount of stress as possible. That's easier said than done, and we're going to talk about that. But something easy that you can do is just try to decrease your stress levels on a day-to-day basis, which decreases depression levels, which then would decrease your risk of suicidal thoughts.
All right, so because of all the negative health consequences that can happen when we experience too much stress, it's very important for us to maintain just the right amount. But how do we know when we have too much stress? There are different warning signs that you may start to notice that your body is experiencing stress overload, and these include feelings of being overwhelmed, an inability to relax or quiet the mind, having a low self-esteem, feeling depressed or fatigued, frequent headaches or upset stomach, changes in sleep pattern, frequent infections and constant worry, with racing thoughts, an inability to focus and poor judgment, and changes in appetite, so maybe you're eating more than normal or not as much. You may also see procrastination, increased use of alcohol and drugs, and nervous behaviors such as nail biting and fidgeting. So this picture is just showing how we need to find a happy medium with our stress, so we can meet somewhere in the middle and still enjoy our life with the small amount of stress when we really need it.
So when it comes to stress, it's important to realize what you should avoid doing to cope with your stress and what you should do to cope with your stress. So unfortunately, I think a lot of the things that are on this list, the things that you should not do, are things that most people your age commonly turn to. And I'm not going to go through all of these because a lot of the groups already hit on all of these for you. So again, with the caffeine overconsumption, they say you should not consume any caffeine beyond 2 p.m. because it stays in your body so long. And then if you jump down to number 6, that's just going to contribute to poor sleep. All of these things are just going to make your stress worse, and it's really not going to help you at all. Obviously, I think we all can realize now that smoking, alcohol, and drugs are not good for your health in any sense. So they're definitely not going to help your stress levels at all. When it comes to over or under eating, 1 in 4 Americans turns to food in times of stress. So whether you're eating because you're stressed or you're so stressed that you forget to eat, this is going to affect your body negatively, and it's going to contribute to more stress. Overworking, so a lot of us, I think, we're all we have this whole to-do list to do each day, and we don't want to take a break. We just want to check off all those boxes, but this is not good for your body. Your body needs those breaks. So even just, work for an hour, take a 15-minute break. That's going to be the best thing for you. A lot of people will turn to social withdrawal, and again, that kind of ties in with the overworking. So, you just want to be in your zone, you just want to work, but science has proved that you need that social interaction. You need to be around people who can help you relax and make you laugh. And then number 10 is the worst thing that you can do possible when it comes to dealing with stress, and that's just trying to push it off and not deal with it at all. So you really need to set those time limits for yourself, and if it's just something you can't deal with right now, say, I'm going to walk away from it for this long, this is when I'm going to come back and deal with it. So going back to the case study that we were talking about earlier, 66% of the students said that they turned to substance abuse in times of stress. Alcohol and marijuana were the 2 most commonly reported substances that these students were using. And one student even quoted that most of the things that people do here when they are stressed is they go and get drunk or high. And so over a 30-day period, 38% of these students reported that they got drunk, and 34% reported that they got high off an illegal substance. And this is just huge. Like, you know, your high schoolers, neither of these things are legal for you. And so now not only are you putting those damaging effects on your body and your stress levels, but now if you get in trouble with like the law or your school, it's more stress that you're going to add to yourself. So with all that being said, these are the things that you want to focus on and what you do want to do when you feel stressed. So we already said to spend time with positive people, those people that can help you relax and make you laugh. Relaxing and recharging, again, if you are overworking, you're not going to accomplish your tasks and decreasing your stress levels. So taking those study breaks in between. Eating right, we've already talked about that. Exercise, it's been proven that just 15 minutes of getting up and walking around can boost your mood drastically. Laughing increases endorphins, which are those feel-good hormones. So how many of you just like, you know, after you laugh, you take a deep breath and you just feel good for a second. Getting enough sleep, avoiding alcohol, smoking, and caffeine, things we've already said. And then most importantly, just keeping your body and your mind calm. So if any of you have ever tried meditation, that's a great like coping mechanism for stress. And I know it's like hard to get into and it feels weird at first, but if you keep practicing it, the effects it has on your body are really remarkable and it's going to help you drastically.
So Leanne talked about all the options to cope with stress effectively and ineffectively, but really the studies have shown that the best thing you can do is just don't sweat the little stuff. If you get a bad grade that you're not super excited about, just let it go, take a tip from Elsa, and don't think about it anymore. However, although studies show that, that's much easier said than done. So some practical things to prevent stress from happening in the first place, so you can kind of get rid of the little stressors in your life, would be to make a to-do list so you're very organized and you get things done that you need to and you're not under a time crunch and experience stress. Take some brain breaks before you start to get stressed because you can be proactive with that kind of thing. Prayer, meditation, finding a best friend to talk to. We talked about exercising can help cope with stress and also can help prevent stress. Then eating healthy, we also talked about, can work both ways like that as well. So something interesting is that since we're talking to you guys, or high school students, about possibly promoting a stress program to reduce stress in your schools, some interesting information you might appreciate would be that those kind of projects that are going to help you plan after this presentation actually do decrease levels of stress in schools and specifically helps in the area of help seeking and coping when you do have stress. So the main idea, what you get from this slide, is that actual education programs like such we're doing right now do actually effectively decrease stress levels in teens, which is exciting for you all. Well, that last thing we're going to talk about is about a study done by a woman named Amy Cuddy. So she's done a lot of research in the area of stress and has actually found that the way you stand or present yourself can actually effectively decrease or increase stress levels in your body naturally. So let me explain that a little bit more. So if you're standing in a submissive posture, so it would be any of these kind of positions up here. If you're touching your neck or if you're really making yourself small in your body, what automatically happens is that your cortisol level, which is your stress hormone, increases, which increases your stress level, and then your testosterone level, which is your power hormone, decreases. So even just standing like this in this position, you're already setting yourself up for being stressed. However, on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you assume a powerful position, the opposite happens. Your testosterone goes up and your stress level goes down. So those positions such as the Wonder Woman pose like this, or if you're just spreading out when you're sitting down in your chair, can automatically decrease your stress levels. So a lot of nursing students have been using this kind of technique before exams, so we feel powerful and ready to go before exams. We have high testosterone levels, and it's something that I would encourage you all to do before your exams or any time you're experiencing stress in your life. Just assume the power position and do this for 2 minutes, deep breathe, and you should feel better and less stressed at the end of it. So that is our presentation on stress, and here are our references, and thank you for listening.